A weathered sign warns against entry, guarding a dark path into the woods. A young boy, furious with his brother, defiantly marches down the forbidden trail. He scoffs at an imagined apology, just as a sound rustles from the deep woods. Muttering insults, the child's anger fuels his reckless journey forward. Later, only his fallen keychain remains near a strange, moss-covered shrine. The story jumps to a vlogger named Yosumin, beginning her occult exploration in a quiet rural town. She sets her sights on the infamous Mint Shirao, a place shrouded in mystery. Her livestream reveals the local legend, a terrifying cave with a dark reputation. With a confident wink, she vows to investigate the town's chilling disappearances. Meanwhile, on a train, her crew spots a familiar-looking boy, marking him as their first local contact. The boy from the train is shocked, realizing the famous vlogger is actually investigating his hometown. Her livestream shows her already on the ground, approaching a tough-looking local fixing his motorcycle. She cuts straight to the chase, asking if he knows anything about the town's missing kids. The local's patience snaps, and he aggressively tells her to leave him alone. His threat dissolves into laughter as he calls out her media credentials with a smirk. The younger brother reflects on the 5 years since he left, realizing his stagnant hometown remains unchanged. He watches the livestream with growing concern, recognizing his brother's familiar aggressive attitude. Finally arriving, the boy approaches his large traditional family home nestled against the woods. His homecoming is less than welcoming, as even the family dog greets him like a hostile stranger. The dog's persistent barking only reinforces his feeling of being an outsider in his own home. The dog bares its teeth, its vicious growl confirming he's no longer part of the pack. A voice from inside acknowledges his arrival, casually mentioning being on a call. He finally steps inside, dropping his bag with a heavy thud on the floor. In his old room, he finds everything exactly as he left it, a stark reminder of the brother who is gone. A strange, disorienting memory flashes of a child's face peering down at him with intense, wide eyes. His gaze falls upon a glass cabinet, sparking a wave of nostalgia for his old monster collection. He mentally lists off the names of the quirky cryptid figures, a relic of a simpler time. A flashback shows his younger self, his small hand reaching out to the glass, captivated by the toys. He recalls his childhood glee, excitedly celebrating his favorite, most terrifying villain figure. His eyes finally land on a framed photo, revealing a time when he and his brother were happy, goofing around together. He sits alone in his room, lost in thought, when his phone suddenly buzzes to life. He questions if 5 years of silence has completely erased their friendship. To his shock, messages from his old friend Umi welcome him back and propose a reunion. Stunned, he stares at his phone, completely bewildered by the unexpected invitation. A chilling thought crosses his mind. He never told a single soul he was returning. Despite his unease, he heads down the familiar country road to the meeting. Night falls as he arrives at a local eatery, the designated reunion spot. Inside, he finds himself surrounded by his old circle of high school friends. The group's attention shifts to another friend, also named Riku, teasing him about married life. The others chime in, asking about his wife, much to the other Riku's annoyance. The other Riku deflects the marriage talk, telling his friends to relax. One girl impatiently pushes for details while another suggests they wait for everyone to arrive. The topic shifts as another friend is told to stop overthinking his food order. One of the girls confidently flags down a waiter to order a drink. The indecisive friend stares at the menu, torn between 2 fried chicken options. The protagonist watches the familiar, chaotic banter, feeling a sense of nostalgia. Despite the familiar scene, he feels like an outsider, questioning why he was even invited. The friends wonder why Umi, the one who organized the reunion, is late. The protagonist realizes his only connection to this group was through his friendship with Umi. Just then, a new figure appears at the door, greeted as the latecomer, Umi. Umi immediately grabs the protagonist in an aggressive, playful headlock. He inspects Hajime's face, commenting on how much he's grown while Hajime awkwardly denies it. Umi gets uncomfortably close, his boisterous greeting overwhelming the stunned protagonist. The other friends watch with amusement, noting that Umi's doting affection for Hajime hasn't changed at all. Umi tries to spoon-feed his friend, insisting he needs to eat as Hajime brings up the live stream he saw. He shows Umi his phone, but his friend looks at the screen with a blank, questioning expression. The group erupts in conversation, shocked that Yosumin is in town and appalled by Jen's aggressive behavior on camera. The conversation shifts as one of the friends wonders about the vlogger's true purpose for visiting their quiet town. Riku begins to explain, bringing up the town's infamous urban legend of a man-eating cave. He starts the tale with a flashback to a disgraced samurai clan, exiled and driven from their home long ago. He recounts how the clan's desperation led to brutal raids, ending with their capture and public execution by the Shisui River. Despite their defeat, the vast treasure they plundered from countless villages vanished without a trace. Years later, a rumor surfaced. The lost treasure was hidden deep inside a cave on the sacred Mount Shirao. Many sought the fortune, but the cave swallowed them all, leaving behind only whispers of a curse. Riku ends the tale with a drunken chant, warning that the cave will devour anyone who lingers too close. The girls laugh, remembering how they used to sing that same creepy rhyme as kids. One friend recalls a time they all defied a warning and went to the cave, where Riku apparently lost his nerve. The memory of that one fateful trip to the infamous cave resurfaces among the group. The friends all join in, good-naturedly mocking Riku for his past display of fear. The laughter dies as Hajime, with a look of pure dread, pleads with them to stop talking about it. A young boy rides his scooter down a quiet, rural road. Back at the restaurant, the friends react to a sudden realization. One friend connects the dots, recalling Umi's missing younger brother. A close-up reveals a character's conflicted expression and a whispered denial. The abandoned scooter at the mountain's entrance deepens the mystery. Umi embraces Hajime, grateful for his concern and support. Someone suggests revisiting the mountain, prompting a mixed reaction. The group makes plans to meet the next day, setting the stage for a return to the ominous location. Hajime and Umi share a moment of quiet reflection under the night sky. Walking home together, Umi and Hajime enjoy the simple pleasure of companionship. Umi notices Hajime staring and questions if there's something on his face. Hajime admits he feels too awkward to join, worried he'll ruin the vibe for everyone. He tries to back out of their plan to visit the mountain, catching Umi off guard. Hajime insists the others wouldn't want him there, claiming Umi just doesn't understand. Umi shuts down the argument, declaring that without Hajime, it won't be any fun. He reveals that contrary to Hajime's belief, everyone is impressed he moved to Tokyo. Umi adds that one of their friends, Futaba, even called him cool for chasing his dream. Hajime is stunned into silence, a faint blush spreading across his cheeks. Umi playfully teases him about his red face as Hajime flusteredly denies being embarrassed. His friend gives him a reassuring pat on the head, ending the conversation with a gentle gesture. Umi perceptively asks if something happened in Tokyo, encouraging Hajime to relax and be himself. Hajime's wide eyes reveal that his friend's words have struck a deep chord. Umi insists on walking him home, citing the dangers of the unlit country roads. The story abruptly shifts to a dark, rocky place as a fragmented memory begins to surface. A confused voice reverberates from the shadows, lamenting about the agony. Hajime couldn't move. The pain was so intense it felt like every bone in his body was broken. He didn't understand what had happened or where everyone was. There was complete silence around him. Soon the young man realized that the cave had collapsed and he was buried alive. Hajime didn't know how much time had passed. He had stopped feeling his body and wasn't even sure if help was coming. The young man clearly understood that he was going to die here. It seemed like there was no way out. A terrified Hajime screams in a flashback, trapped and horrified by his crumbling surroundings. Umi appears through the dust, trying to calm his panicking friend who is partially buried in rubble. He puts a finger to his lips, desperately urging Hajime to stay quiet and promising a rescue later. With tears streaming down his face, Hajime expresses immense relief that Umi is safe. Umi's face hardens with fear as he warns that silence is crucial, or that thing will find them. A confused Hajime mistakes the warning for a sign of rescue, asking what his friend means. Umi pulls out his phone, its bright screen cutting through the oppressive darkness. He peers into a deep black hole, whispering that something else is in the cave with them. With a grim expression, Umi clarifies that it's not a person watching them, but something monstrous. Hajime stares into the void, sensing an approaching presence as a mysterious shape begins to emerge. A chilling childlike face emerges from the darkness, its eyes shadowed and unsettling. Hajime recognizes Yosumin's presence and hopes for rescue, unaware of the true horror. Umi frantically tries to shield Hajime from a terrifying sight, yelling a warning. Hajime's eye widens in terror as he catches a glimpse of something unspeakable. The unsettling childlike face reappears, its expression unnervingly calm. Umi illuminates a horrifying scene with his phone, revealing a disturbing tableau. A flashback reinforces the cave's sinister reputation, foreshadowing danger. The monstrous entity reveals itself, its grotesque smile and a familiar keychain sending chills down the spine. Unaware of the unfolding horror, Yosumin continues her livestream, encouraged by her online fans. Yosumin, unknowingly approaching the cave, struggles with the steep terrain. Yosumin connects the cave's sinister legend to the town's missing children, her eyes landing on a lone child's shoe. Brushing off her viewers' warnings, she confidently approaches the forbidden path, ready to face the danger. Ignoring the rusted no entry sign, she pushes past the clear warning and into the overgrown trail. The scene shifts to 3 hours before the disaster, at the entrance to the Mountain Pass campground. A cheerful Umi waves to their waiting friends with a much younger, more reserved Hajime by his side. The friends immediately start bickering, with Umi getting called out for his inappropriate hiking sandals. Futaba enthusiastically takes charge, rallying the group to finally start their trek up the mountain. The group begins their ascent, a small line of figures against the vast, imposing mountain trail. The mood is light and carefree, with the friends joking about melted snacks and enjoying the school trip atmosphere. However, the carefree mood isn't shared by everyone, as Riku already regrets his decision to join the hike. Riku turns to Hajime, sensing they share the same reluctance for this hike. He calls out Hajime's denial, admitting he feels the exact same way. Riku complains about the point of hiking when they could be home playing video games. Hajime points out that despite his grumbling, Riku still showed up for the trip. Riku explains that an invitation from Umi always carries the promise of an adventure. In a sudden prank, he hurls a rubber snake directly at the unsuspecting Umi. Hajime quietly mulls over the definition of fun as he watches the scene unfold. The toy snake lands on Umi's arm, who jumps in surprise, completely caught off guard. Riku silences a panicking Hajime, revealing the snake is just a harmless toy. Umi looks genuinely upset by the prank, while Hajime observes his friend's reaction. A painful memory flashes of Hajime being berated by his boss, a stark contrast to the carefree hike. Umi pops up from behind a rock, furiously questioning the prank while his friends joke about his resilience. Hajime watches the exchange with a genuine, happy smile, enjoying his friend's chaotic energy. The group reaches a dilapidated stone mound, knowing the infamous cave entrance is just beyond it. They notice a larger, well-maintained shrine building and decide to offer a prayer for safety. An imposing set of stone stairs leads them up through the dense forest toward the sacred site. With eyes closed, the friends stand side by side, silently wishing for a safe adventure. After their prayer, the group heads back down, but someone spots an unexpected presence. They see a man in traditional robes crouch near the shrine's entrance, speculating he might be a priest. The friends dismiss the figure, assuming he's simply asleep or lost in deep prayer. One of the friends politely calls out to the strange man, announcing they're just passing by. Deciding not to disturb the man, the group agrees to quietly move past him. The man's face suddenly appears, his hollow eyes and gaping mouth delivering a terrifying warning about the cave. The figure lurches to his feet, startling the group with a frantic warning that the cave is watching them. With a trembling hand, he reaches toward them, raving that the cave longs to feed on new victims. His ominous words echo as the scene shifts to the dark, overgrown path leading to the cave. Having fled in terror, the friends regroup further down the trail, questioning the strange man's identity. Hajime, however, remains silent and visibly shaken, the strange man's words clearly affecting him. They rationalize the encounter as heat-induced delirium and agree to find another way back down the mountain. Shaking off the strange event, one friend spots the trail forward and eagerly points it out to Umi. They stare in disbelief, discovering the infamous cave entrance has been completely blocked by a rock slide. A massive boulder seals the passage, likely a result of a typhoon from the previous year. The group expresses their relief, admitting the strange man's warning had left them deeply unsettled. A younger Hajime breathes a sigh of relief, glad their spooky adventure has been cut short. Their relief turns to disgust as they stumble upon a massive, illegal dumping site just off the trail. The girls are appalled, questioning who would haul so much trash deep into the mountain forest. Umi mockingly presents the garbage as the fabled treasure, but his friends are not amused by the joke or the smell. They realize locals have been using the sacred pilgrimage path as a secret spot for illegal dumping. Amidst the junk, a younger Hajime's eyes widen as he spots something unusual on the ground. The friends gather around, peering into a deep, dark hole hidden beneath the pile of trash. One friend speculates the hole connects to the cave system, while another calls it a death trap. Just as they argue, the ground beneath them begins to tremble violently. Ignoring the danger, Umi leans in for a closer look, determined not to leave empty-handed. The earth suddenly gives way, plunging a terrified Hajime into the abyss as his friends scramble back. A disorienting view from below reveals an unsettling, childlike face peering into the darkness. A pale humanoid creature drops into the hole, its unnatural form horrifying the trapped boys. The entity's unnerving eye gazes intently at a strange object it's holding. It holds up a mask resembling a girl's face, staring into its empty eyes. With a disturbing grin, the creature caresses its own face with the mask. The monster then points directly at them, its wide smile a terrifying invitation. Trapped in the rubble, Hajime stares in horror, questioning what the monstrous thing is. Umi steals his resolve, determined to handle the situation and wait for an opening. The creature suddenly lunges, grabbing one of their dazed friends from the ground. With terrifying strength, it begins to drag the struggling boy away by his ankle. The boy screams for his life while the creature watches with a single unnerving eye. Umi leaps forward, grabbing his friend's arm in a desperate tug-of-war against the monster. He furiously yells at Hajime, urging him to grab their friend and run for it. Hajime joins the struggle, pulling with all his might as Umi vows he won't let go. The creature's grip tightens, its unblinking eye fixed on its struggling prey. Its face contorts into a terrifying snarl as it lets out an unearthly, furious roar. The creature turns its unsettling gaze directly on the boys as they struggle to save their friend. A sudden blinding flash of light erupts from the darkness, stunning everyone. Disoriented by the light, the monster recoils as Umi frantically checks on his friends. The creature's grip loosens, allowing the boys to pull their friend free, leaving only a shoe behind. Thrown off by the flash, the entity scurries away into the depths of the cave. The rest of the group finally arrives, shining a light on the scene and demanding to know what happened. Umi stares into the darkness, his mind reeling as he tries to comprehend the monstrous thing they just encountered. Riku struggles to process the horrifying sight, trying to deny that the creature was carrying a grim trophy. Hajime stands frozen amidst the rubble, the terrifying reality of the situation sinking in. He makes a horrifying connection, realizing the object the monster held was what remained of the vlogger, Yosumin. The friends stare in disbelief, processing the grim fate of the vlogger they just witnessed. One of them raises a phone, the flash revealing the true horror of their situation. He drops his phone, certain that whatever vanished into the darkness is a threat they can't comprehend. Their flashlight then illuminates a chilling sight, a massive pile of children's backpacks and clothes. The group looks on in absolute horror, unable to process the grim discovery. They question the presence of so many children's belongings in this dark, forgotten place. The crazed man's frantic warning about the cave watching them suddenly echoes with terrifying clarity. Hajime's eyes widen in terror as he finally understands the true nature of where they've fallen. They've stumbled directly into the legendary man-eating cave from the town's urban legend. Just as the realization hits, the ground trembles and the cave begins to collapse around them. A closer look reveals a heartbreaking collection of children's school supplies and personal items. Deeper in the darkness, tattered clothes hang from gnarled roots like trophies in a monster's den. The awful truth dawns on them. This isn't just a cave, it's a graveyard for the town's lost children. The entire group stands frozen in the dim light, their faces etched with the horror of their discovery. Their only escape route is now a solid wall of rock and debris, sealing them inside the mountain. Riku, the firefighter, takes control, advising everyone to stay put to increase their chances of being found. Panic sets in as another friend confirms their phones have no signal, cutting them off from the outside world. Riku clings to a sliver of hope, remembering he told his wife about their hiking plans that morning. He reasons that by dawn a search party will be sent, but the thought of waiting is unbearable for the others. As one friend despairs, another desperately hopes the strange priest they met will find the collapsed entrance. One friend scoffs at the idea of the lunatic priest being their savior, but another remembers the strange words he spoke back at the shrine. Futaba recalls his chilling warning, the cave watches and it devours. The group connects the priest's prophecy to the monstrous creature they just encountered. A wave of terror washes over them as they realize they've walked right into the monster's den. Suddenly, Umi shouts with excitement, pointing to the pile of children's belongings. Riku snaps at him for the interruption, demanding to know what's so important. Umi quietly recalls how his little brother always insisted on wearing matching clothes. The others stare in confusion, not understanding the sudden shift in conversation. He reveals that even on the day he disappeared, his brother was wearing the outfit they'd picked out together. Umi pulls a familiar t-shirt from the pile, a flicker of hope on his face as he recognizes it as his brother's. Hajime stares in disbelief, the horrifying implication of the discovery dawning on him. Umi connects the grim discovery to the monster they saw, realizing it was wearing his brother's keychain. Overwhelmed, Umi stands atop the pile of belongings, declaring this is why they never found his brother. Riku grabs a spiraling Umi by the shoulder, desperately trying to snap him out of his delusion. He reminds his friend that 12 years have passed, urging him to face the grim reality of the situation. With growing concern, Riku questions if Umi truly believes his brother could have survived in this place. Clutching the t-shirt, Umi is consumed by the thought of his brother being trapped and alone for 12 long years. His grief twists into a fierce, unwavering conviction that his brother is still alive. Fueled by this dangerous hope, he announces he's going deeper into the cave alone, leaving his friends stunned. Riku angrily reminds Umi that they all agreed to stay put for their own safety. To everyone's surprise, a quiet Hajime announces that he's siding with Umi. He explains his bad feeling about their current spot, voicing his fear of another collapse. With a terrified expression, he argues that the monster already knows they're there, making it smarter to keep moving. Hajime points into the darkness, reasoning that an airflow means there must be an exit. He reveals his clothes have been fluttering, confirming a breeze is coming from deeper within the cave. His friends stare in shock, suddenly noticing something is terribly wrong with him. Hajime looks down in confusion as they point out his arm is grotesquely dislocated. Panic erupts as the friends frantically try to figure out how to handle his severe injury. Riku takes charge, resetting the bone with a sickening snap as Hajime cries out in agony. The group stares into the suffocating darkness of the cave's unknown depths. Convinced that waiting is a death sentence, the friends agree to follow Umi's lead. With renewed determination, they venture into the blackness, searching for a way out. Umi carries an injured Hajime on his back, despite his friend's weak protests. Hajime points out Umi is also hurt, but his friend brushes off the concern with rugged confidence. Umi insists his injured friend take the chance to rest, pointing out that he's bleeding. Hajime relents, promising to properly thank the one who tended to his injury later. They put their faith in Futaba, whose medical experience at a university hospital proves invaluable. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Hajime apologizes and thanks Umi for saving his life. The rest of the group follows, the memory of the terrifying cave-in still fresh in their minds. Umi carries his injured friend, the weight of his guilt heavier than the boy on his back. The others share the burden of responsibility, blaming themselves for Hajime's injury. With grim determination, Umi makes a solemn vow to his friends. He promises to treat them all to a massive feast once they escape, trying to rally their spirits. His bold declaration works, as his friends' faces light up with renewed hope. The group's despair turns to lively banter, eagerly planning their celebratory meal. Hajime puts his complete faith in Umi, certain his friend's leadership will see them through. Their flashlights cut through the oppressive darkness, illuminating the path forward. Exhaustion finally sets in for some, forcing the group to take a much-needed rest. Riku checks the time, realizing they've been wandering for 3 hours in the disorienting, sunless cave. They pool their resources, only to find they're left with a pathetic pile of junk food. Futaba worries about her phone's low battery. As Riku points out, their flashlights are their only lifeline. The grim calculation of their rations sinks in, leaving them with a near-impossible daily allowance. Despite the tension, Umi has already succumbed to exhaustion, fast asleep on the rocky ground. Hajime acknowledges his friend's exhaustion, remembering Umi carried him the entire way. Riku makes a command decision, a 2-hour nap to conserve energy before they venture deeper into the darkness. Plunged into absolute blackness, the group's fear intensifies as their only source of light is extinguished. While the others try to find rest in the unsettling silence, Hajime remains wide awake, unable to shake his anxiety. Unseen in the darkness, a monstrous presence looms over a sleeping friend, its grotesque jaw dripping with saliva. The creature's single vacant eye stares down, its horrifying form inching closer to its unsuspecting victim. The creature's monstrous jaw opens wide, revealing rows of terrifying teeth. A thick, unsettling fluid begins to drip from its gaping mouth. The strange substance lands directly on the face of a sleeping genin. He jolts awake with a gasp, wiping the bizarre liquid from his eyes in confusion. Shaken, he tries to dismiss the terrifying experience as just a bad dream. Riku wakes up, asking Jen if he's all right after hearing him groaning in his sleep. The group awakens to find Riku casually munching on their limited supply of snacks. Futaba scolds him, reminding him that the food was meant to last them the entire day. Riku deflects with a smirk, teasing Futaba about her own eating habits and love life. Her patience snaps, and she quietly picks up a heavy rock from the cave floor. Riku's teasing comes to an abrupt halt as Futaba threatens him with a rock, forcing a quick apology. Elsewhere, Gen is haunted by his nightmare, unable to shake the feeling of the creature's touch. The vivid memory of the dream makes him question if it was just a dream at all. He wanders ahead of the group, lost in his own unsettling thoughts as Umi and Hajime watch. Hajime expresses his concern, pointing out Gen's strange, continuous mumbling. Umi dismisses it, claiming Gen has always been sensitive and is just struggling to cope. Seeing an opportunity, he suggests that Hajime should be the one to comfort their troubled friend. Umi wisely points out that shared hardship is the perfect chance to forge a real connection. He reminds Hajime of his own words, about feeling like an outsider among them. The two friends continue into the darkness, with Umi pushing Hajime to step out of his comfort zone. Gen stands alone in the darkness, breathing heavily and looking deeply unsettled. Hajime approaches with concern, checking to see if Gen is okay. He awkwardly explains that he was just worried about how Gen was coping with their situation. Gen seems surprised by the gesture, while Hajime quickly downplays his concern. A sudden realization dawns on Gen, as if he understands Hajime's true motive. He wrongly accuses Hajime of trying to manipulate him into giving him a piggyback ride. Changing the subject, Gen asks Hajime for his thoughts on the monstrous creature they encountered. Hajime insists he was just worried, and Gen walks ahead, seemingly accepting the answer. Gen stops suddenly, demanding answers and pointing out that Hajime got a closer look at the entity. As they continue walking, Hajime quietly reveals his chilling observation. The creature looked human. Hajime recalls the creature's disturbing appearance. A close-up emphasizes the creature's inhuman features. Gen wonders if the creature is the source of the local legend. The friends realize they're trapped in the legendary cave. Riku notices Hajime's surprisingly calm demeanor. Hajime downplays the danger, offering a theory. He reasons the creature could have attacked but chose not to. Riku expresses his admiration for Hajime's composure. Hajime is taken aback by Riku's unexpected praise. Umi calls the group over to an interesting discovery. A cracked phone lies on the cave floor, a selfie stick attached. The group suspects it belongs to the missing streamer. They check the phone, but the battery is dead. One hopes for footage of the creature if it is the streamer's phone. One of the girls reveals she has a power bank. She insists on going alone to charge the phone. Another girl offers to accompany her, but she declines. She ventures off into the darkness with her flashlight. The cave is pitch black as she navigates the treacherous terrain. She continues deeper, her face determined despite the darkness. Away from the group, one of the girls reaches into her bag for a pack of cigarettes. She takes a long drag, exhaling a thick cloud of smoke to calm her frayed nerves. She sits on a rock, deciding a smoke break is the only way to handle the stress. But as she exhales, an unsettling face with huge, dark eyes materializes in the smoke behind her. Before she can react, a monstrous hand lunges from the darkness and clamps over her face. Her eye widens in pure terror, trapped in the creature's unyielding grip. The entity begins to drag her away, her struggle useless against its strength. Back with the others, the streamer's phone finally powers on, revealing a video filmed just 3 days prior. The friends stare at the screen, a new wave of dread washing over them as they wonder where their friend has vanished. As the video plays, they hear a voice calling for the streamer, realizing another person might be lost in the cave. On the phone screen, the video shows a dark tunnel as a voice calls out, its patience wearing thin. The person filming pleads for the streamer to reveal herself, their tone shifting from annoyance to desperation. A rustling sound gives the filmer a flicker of hope, believing they've finally found Yosumin. Instead, the camera captures a horrifying sight, the pale creature embracing a dazed, terrified man. The friends watch the footage, their faces frozen in a collective mask of abject horror. One friend slaps a hand over his mouth, trying to suppress a gag at the sickening revelation. The gruesome sight proves too much for another, who doubles over, overcome with nausea. Hajime stares in wide-eyed shock, unable to process the impossible scene he just witnessed. Umi holds the phone, his grim expression showing his struggle to accept the monstrous truth. The chilling image on the screen is undeniable proof that the creature exists and has claimed another victim. The video reveals the creature in a chilling embrace with its dazed, unresponsive victim. The monster then lunges forward, its gaping maw revealing its terrifying intent toward the helpless man. Silhouetted against the darkness, the friends are united by the shared horror of what they're witnessing. Hajime sinks to the ground, grappling with the horrifying reality that the creature consumes people. Futaba stares blankly into the darkness, the shocking footage leaving her completely stunned. Gen's resolve crumbles, convinced they are doomed and too terrified to continue their journey. Umi's expression hardens as he processes the undeniable existence of a true man-eating monster. But Hajime suddenly interjects, urging them not to jump to conclusions just yet. His sudden composure catches a confused Gen completely off guard. Hajime points out a disturbing inconsistency between the video and what he saw of the vlogger's remains. Gen demands to know what Hajime is getting at, confused by his strange line of reasoning. Hajime speculates the creature didn't eat the vlogger, but purposefully took her head as if it had a goal. Gen angrily dismisses the theory, insisting the monster's motives don't matter when a life has been lost. As Hajime apologizes, Futaba's eyes widen with a sudden, dreadful realization about their missing friend. The group's panic grows as they realize Akane never returned, mistakenly believing she was already back with them. They frantically call out her name, their flashlight beams cutting through the oppressive darkness. Their search leads them to a single, discarded cigarette butt on the cave floor. Riku confirms Akane was right there, as the others continue to shout her name into the void. Futaba trembles, realizing Akane was there just minutes ago, sparking the terrifying thought that the monster got her. Riku dismisses the idea, arguing the path was a straight shot with no place for the creature to hide and ambush them. Riku tries to rationalize Akane's disappearance, suggesting she simply turned back. But Hajime spots a new path, pointing out a dark tunnel veiled by a strange, web-like substance. Futaba is stunned she missed it, as Riku speculates it's the only place Akane could have gone. Umi cautiously pokes the bizarre, stringy material, wondering what it could possibly be. The others warn him to stop, describing the substance as sticky, slimy roots unlike anything they've seen. Ignoring their pleas, Umi recklessly begins to crawl into the tight, unsettling passage. He glances back with grim resolve, determined to see if Akane is trapped inside. His friends protest his thoughtless actions, but Umi's muffled voice insists he has a plan. They shout after him in terror, warning that he's charging headfirst into the monster's lair. From within the tunnel, Umi's voice confidently states the creature is a coward that only targets the vulnerable. Umi's face twists with rage as he vows to burn the creature to a crisp if he catches it. His friends stare in disbelief, completely shocked by his sudden, intense fury. From the tunnel, he declares he'll bring back both Akane and his brother, telling the others to wait. The group realizes Umi is too fired up to be stopped, turning to Riku to take charge. Riku follows Umi into the slimy passage, armed with a lighter, ready for whatever lies ahead. Back in the main cavern, the remaining friends huddled together, waiting in the dim glow of a single flashlight. The vast dark cavern dwarfs the three friends, emphasizing their isolation as they stare at the ominous tunnel. Gen breaks the silence, grimly comparing their desperate situation to a cheap horror movie. He continues the morbid comparison, referencing the trope where a group splits up only to be picked off. Futaba clings to the hope that their friends will return safely, admitting they are doomed otherwise. Gen questions Umi's irrational hope, realizing his friend is not thinking clearly. He dismisses the idea as completely unrealistic, given the 12 years that have passed. But Hajime recalls Umi's unwavering expression, understanding he was deadly serious about finding his brother. Futaba remembers their childhood, explaining that the two brothers were truly inseparable. A flashback shows Umi and his brother Taiyu sharing a happy moment, their bond unbreakable even after the disappearance. The memory shifts to a younger Taiyu calling out happily for his older brother. The flashback continues, showing Taiyu proudly presenting a crayfish he caught. Futaba recalls a time when a young Umi suddenly told her to walk home without him. She remembers her confusion, reminding him of their promise to walk together. But he had run off, promising to see her tomorrow, leaving her to walk alone. The flashback shows a younger Taiyu excitedly telling Umi about a fish he spotted, with Umi eagerly planning their capture. A young Futaba watches from a distance as the two soaked and happy brothers share a moment. Back in the present, Futaba admits she was always a little envious of their private world. She explains that Umi's hope is fueled by the fact that his brother was his entire world. Meanwhile, a determined Umi finally pushes through the slimy tunnel, calling back to check on Riku. He takes a brief moment to catch his breath, surrounded by the dripping, unsettling substance. With renewed resolve, he prepares to continue his search into the darkness. He wipes his face, his mind focused on the dangerous task ahead, but his expression suddenly shifts to one of pure shock as he sees something unbelievable. Standing before him in the darkness is a young boy who looks exactly like his long-lost brother, Taiyu. Umi stares in shock, realizing the boy hasn't aged a day in 12 years. Overwhelmed, he struggles to accept that his long-lost brother could actually be alive. His mind races, questioning if this impossible sight is even real. The boy dismisses his questions, telling Umi that everyone is waiting and it's time to go. Umi is left confused, wondering who else could possibly be waiting for him. The boy takes his hand, offering a comforting grip and telling him not to worry. A tear escapes Umi's eye as he finally accepts the reunion, his hope overriding his disbelief. The comforting hand is revealed to be a monstrous claw, its sharp talons digging into his arm. The horrifying reality dawns on him as the creature's arm pulls him deeper into the cave. Umi's hope shatters, his mind reeling as he once again questions if this is truly his brother. The creature's hand tightens as the boy's voice questions Umi's sudden doubt. The boy smiles innocently, insisting that it's really him, his long-lost brother. Umi's terror gives way to a flicker of desperate, irrational hope. Convinced he'd never mistake that face, Umi fully accepts that his brother is standing before him. The boy suddenly leaps into Umi's arms, catching him completely by surprise. Overcome with emotion, Umi embraces his brother, apologizing for leaving him alone for so long. His voice echoes with guilt as he continues to apologize for the years of solitude. Taiyu confesses that he too longed for their reunion. He admits to the loneliness and fear he endured while trapped in the darkness. But through it all, Taiyu insists he never lost faith that his big brother would one day save him. Umi's eyes well up with tears, completely overcome by the emotional weight of the reunion. The boy smiles, thanking his older brother for finally finding him and telling him he loves him. Umi's expression shifts from joy to suspicion as he processes the boy's uncharacteristic words. In a shocking twist, Umi drives his fist directly into the boy's face, shattering the tender moment. The powerful blow sends the small figure flying backward, the illusion violently broken. Umi clenches his fist, reflecting that his real brother never once spoke with such open affection. He knows his brother was always too shy for such a declaration, confirming this creature is an imposter. On the ground, the boy's small shoe is the last remnant of the disguise before it fades. An unsettling hiss rises from the darkness as Umi steels himself against the horrifying deception. The boy's form melts away, revealing the grotesque, multi-limbed creature in its true snarling form. Umi activates his phone's flash, his face a mask of cold fury as he prepares to fight. The damage from Umi's punch miraculously heals as a slimy substance oozes and reforms on the creature's face. His rage boils over as he vows to make the creature pay for the cruel deception. The creature lets out a chilling, guttural sound, its mouth twisting into a mocking sneer. Back in the main cavern, a strange sound echoes from the tunnel, putting the waiting friends on edge. Gen's fear gets the better of him as he accuses Futaba of trying to scare him, but she looks just as confused. Futaba's face shows deep conflict as she suggests they follow the others, immediately recoiling from the terrifying thought. Overcome with terror, Gen refuses to enter the slimy passage, declaring he'd rather face any other fate. The camera lingers on the grotesque tunnel entrance, its organic, web-like structure promising only danger. Overwhelmed by fear and hopelessness, Futaba quietly begins to cry. Gen expresses his frustration, completely overwhelmed by their hopeless situation. He tries to snap Futaba out of her despair, but she can only think of their terrified missing friend. Finding her resolve, Futaba decides to go after Akane, leaving a panicked Gen behind. Gen's terror peaks as he begs a silent Hajime to offer some kind of solution. But Hajime is focused on the streamer's phone, pointing to the screen with a look of sudden realization. Gen angrily confronts Hajime, unable to believe he's still fixated on the horrifying video. Hajime ignores him, his suspicion confirmed as he stares at the cracked phone screen. He begins comparing the landscape in the video to the rock formations around them. Hajime points out a specific protruding rock, matching it to the footage as his friends watch in confusion. Gen and Futaba stare at him, demanding to know what his strange observations could possibly mean. Hajime confirms the spot in the video is an exact match for their current location. He concludes that Akane must have ventured into the very tunnel where the horrifying footage was filmed. The chilling realization leaves Gen and Futaba completely stunned and terrified. Suddenly, a hand slaps the ground as Riku finally pushes his way out of the slimy passage. He emerges from the grotesque tunnel, vowing never to crawl through that disgusting hole again. His relief is cut short as he notices something ahead, questioning Umi about the bizarre scene. Riku asks about Akane's fate, but Umi's distant expression shows he's focused on something else entirely. His face contorts in disbelief as he finally processes the impossible sight before him. Umi sits triumphantly behind the subdued creature, holding it in a chokehold as he casually greets his friend. Riku stares at the motionless entity on the ground, demanding to know how Umi single-handedly defeated the monster. Umi casually reveals he subdued the monster by punching it 5 times, much to Riku's disbelief. Riku argues that Umi's fighting skills don't matter against a literal monster, but Umi just smiles, confident in his victory. His confidence fades as he admits that despite winning, something about the encounter felt deeply unsettling. Umi reveals the creature first appeared to him as a perfect illusion of his long-lost brother, Taiyu. Riku stares back, completely baffled by the bizarre and unbelievable explanation. Umi insists the deception was flawless, a perfect replica of his brother in every way he could perceive. As Umi continues his story, Riku listens with growing unease, the tale becoming stranger by the second. Riku's concern suddenly shifts to alarm as he notices something strange happening to Umi's face. A thick, slimy fluid begins to drip from Umi's nose, the same substance that coated the tunnel walls. Before they can react, the ground trembles violently, and the cave begins to collapse around them once more. The collapse reveals a new survivor, a terrified boy with a shovel muttering threats. Umi and Riku are completely baffled by the sudden appearance of this stranger. The boy's eyes lock onto them, his expression twisting with murderous intent. Without warning, he scrambles up the rocky wall, shovel in hand, trying to flee. He looks back in panic, clutching his makeshift weapon as dust rains down. In a sudden frenzy, he turns and swings the shovel directly at Umi. The unprovoked attack catches both Umi and Riku completely by surprise. The boy stumbles to the ground but remains fixated on them with a crazed look. He lunges again, landing a solid blow across Umi's back with the shovel. As Umi reels from the hit, he suddenly recognizes the attacker as Yosumin's companion from the video. Before Umi can react, the stranger lands another solid blow with the shovel. The attacker stammers an apology, claiming he mistook Umi for something inhuman in the darkness. Riku checks on his friend as the newcomer continues to apologize, while another tries to lighten the mood. Riku reveals they found the phone, acknowledging the harrowing experience the stranger must have had. The survivor introduces herself as Marika Suda, explaining she was there to help Yosumin with her video. Marika's expression darkens as she realizes they all witnessed the creature and what happened to her friend. Riku asks how she and Yosumin even got inside, pointing out the main entrance was completely buried. Marika flashes back, explaining something ambushed them in the woods just as they were about to leave. She continues, revealing they couldn't use the blocked entrance and had to find another way in. Marika recalls Yosumin suddenly panicking and running off by herself, deeper into the cave. Marika confirms she witnessed the same horrifying event from the video, leaving her terrified and forced to hide. This new information confirms the creature can come and go as it pleases, meaning there's another exit. Overcome with relief at the prospect of an escape route, Marika breaks down in tears. She expresses her profound gratitude, admitting she had lost all hope of surviving alone in the darkness. Umi playfully chides Riku for upsetting her, though Riku seems completely baffled by the accusation. Marika explains that days of isolation caused her to hallucinate, making her unable to distinguish friend from foe. Umi's interest is piqued, and he asks her to describe the hallucinations she experienced. He reveals the creature appeared to him as his long-lost brother, before turning the question back to her. With a haunted look, Marika confesses that the creature took the form of her deceased grandfather. She recalls the illusion was so convincing that she initially believed it was a ghost, even feeling its touch. A character observes the ominous tunnel, concluding something is deeply wrong with the cave itself. Jen connects the dots, realizing 2 separate hallucinations can't be a mere coincidence. Hajime looks into the distance, suggesting the problem is far greater than just the monster. His thought trails off into the darkness, hinting at a more pervasive, unseen force at play. Back with the others, Hajime suddenly suggests that their missing friend Akane is nearby. A confused Futaba and Jen demand an explanation for his bizarre claim. Hajime reveals that after re-watching the video, he recognized their location as the exact spot where the streamer was attacked. Jen questions why Akane would be there, a mystery Hajime confirms is the central problem. Hajime points out a major inconsistency, a strange, slimy rock formation that wasn't in the original footage. As the friends stare at the new object, a horrifying possibility dawns on them about what it truly is. Futaba spots something unsettling and calls out for Akane. She touches the strange organic mass, realizing it's not a rock. Futaba suspects Akane might be trapped inside the fleshy structure. Hajime watches in horror as Futaba investigates the strange growth. Determined, Futaba tries to tear open the organic material. She pulls at the substance, revealing its sticky, stringy nature. Akane's face is revealed, encased within the strange material. The others realize Akane is truly trapped and try to help. Akane lies unconscious on the cave floor after being pulled free. Futaba checks on Akane, relieved to find her breathing normally. Hajime and Gen express their immense relief, shaken but grateful that their friend is safe. His relief turns to confusion as he questions why Akane was trapped inside the bizarre structure, blaming the monster. Gen offers a chilling theory, comparing their situation to a horror movie where a creature uses a host for its young. Futaba quickly shuts down his terrifying speculation, telling him not to voice such unsettling thoughts. Hajime continues to stare at the remains of the organic pod, a look of deep concern on his face. He looks down at his hand, noticing a small web-like piece of the slimy substance stuck to his palm. To his horror, the strange material on his hand begins to squirm and pulsate as if it's alive. His eyes widen in sheer terror as he realizes the grotesque substance is writhing on his skin. Their attention is suddenly broken by Marika's voice, expressing utter disbelief that Umi managed to take the creature down. The scene reveals the rest of the group has arrived, with Riku jokingly questioning if Umi is the real monster after seeing him with the defeated creature. But Riku suddenly cuts the celebration short with a single troubling thought. Riku breathes a sigh of relief, believing their biggest threat is neutralized and escape is their only remaining problem. Umi stares at the subdued entity, realizing with dawning horror that this isn't the creature he saw before. Marika confirms his fear, pointing out that the monster she witnessed was entirely different. Just then, a horrifying shriek erupts from the darkness of the tunnel, freezing them in place. Their faces drain of color as Marika confirms the real monster, the one she saw, is now approaching. An unsettling scraping sound echoes from the pitch-black passage, heralding its arrival. A pair of pale human-like feet step out from the shadows, slowly advancing toward them. The scene shifts to a quiet residential street where a delivery truck is parked outside a large home. A flashback reveals a young, lonely Hajime sitting by moving boxes as his mother speaks with the delivery driver. His mother encourages him to meet the neighbors, but a young Hajime already looks withdrawn and unhappy. The flashback reveals Hajime's new friends preparing to launch him as part of a cruel game. They toss him into a filthy canal, laughing as he splashes into the murky water. Soaked and humiliated, Hajime can only watch as his tormentors stand by, enjoying the show. The bullies cheer him on, their faces twisted with malicious glee. The torment continues at school, where he's forced into a degrading act in the bathroom. A crowd gathers to film the spectacle, eager to capture his humiliation for their own amusement. His classroom becomes a shrine to his suffering, with a cruel effigy and mocking messages on display. The abuse intensifies as he's bound and photographed, his spirit slowly breaking under their cruelty. At home, he hides the truth from his concerned mother, claiming to be sick to cover his deep emotional wounds. His mother decides to greet the new neighbors herself, telling a weary Hajime to stay and rest. Before leaving, she places a gift on the floor, explaining it's a farewell present from his old friend. Alone among the moving boxes, Hajime unwraps the gift to find a goodbye card from his former classmates. The cheerful messages on the card clash with the haunting, malicious faces of his tormentors in his memory. The overwhelming memory makes him physically sick, the cruel irony of their words too much to bear. Snapping back to the present, Hajime's first thought is that he's just woken from a terrible dream. But he quickly realizes with grim certainty that the horrifying memories were not a dream at all. He clutches his injured arm, the physical pain in the cave bringing him back to his grim reality. Looking at his bandaged limb, he feels a strange detachment, as if his arm no longer belongs to him. Staring into the abyss, he grimly reflects that this cave may be hell, but it's no different from the world he left behind. Akane suddenly jolts awake, her eyes wide with confusion. She looks around at her friends, asking what they're doing, completely unaware of what just happened. Futaba rushes to her side, grabbing her in a wave of overwhelming relief. She expresses how worried she was, thankful that her friend is finally awake. Akane turns to Hajime, thanking him for being the one to find and save her. She observes that with the others gone or panicked, Umi and Riku has become the most reliable person in their group. Akane playfully gives him credit for his bravery, as Futaba smiles in agreement. Hajime, flustered by the praise, simply says he's glad she's safe. Akane dreamily recounts having a wonderful dream about her first love while she was unconscious. Jen dismisses her romantic story, but Akane retorts, questioning why she can't have a moment of happiness. Jen breaks the moment of relief, asking the group what their next move should be. Suddenly, Akane's face begins to horribly distort, a thick fluid dripping as she stares in confusion. Futaba watches in abject terror, stammering Akane's name as the horrifying transformation unfolds. The bizarre substance now oozes from Akane's arm as she struggles to speak her friend's name. With a sickening thud, Akane collapses, her body seemingly dissolving into a grotesque puddle on the cave floor. The remaining friends can only watch in stunned silence as Futaba desperately calls out to what's left of Akane. Futaba cradles her friend's head, pleading with her to hold on, but it's clearly too late. In a final, horrifying moment, Akane's head separates from her body, landing on the ground before Futaba. Futaba's mind shatters at the gruesome sight of her friend's remains, unable to process the loss. Jen stares in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the impossible event as he mutters that Akane simply melted away. Futaba screams her friend's name, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated grief. A horrifying thought dawns as Akane's remains begin to ooze and bubble on the cave floor. Hajime realizes with dawning terror that their ordeal has only been a prelude to true hell. The grotesque puddle hisses and writhes, reforming as a single monstrous eye emerges from the goo. Elsewhere, the rest of the group turns to the tunnel as Marika confirms the approaching shrieks belong to the creature she saw. Umi suddenly snatches the phone from a startled Marika, his expression hardening with resolve. He instructs the others to keep their lights on the reforming puddle, declaring he will handle the new threat. Marika desperately tries to stop him, explaining the creature she witnessed was massive and far more dangerous. Riku agrees, urging Umi that their best chance is to find cover and hide from the approaching entity. But Umi's face twists into a grim smile, suggesting their only option is to fight every monster they encounter. Umi grimly accepts their fate, realizing they're trapped in the heart of the monster's nest with nowhere to run. He defiantly challenges the approaching creatures as Riku and Marika listen in terror to the sounds from the darkness. A horrifying horde of pale, wide-eyed humanoids emerges from the shadows, surrounding them from all sides. Umi's bravado instantly shatters, his face frozen in disbelief at the overwhelming number of monsters. Snapping out of his shock, he screams at Riku and Marika, desperately urging them to run for their lives. As his friends flee, Umi finds himself cornered, surrounded by a sea of grasping hands reaching from the abyss. He holds his ground, determined to create a diversion so the others have a chance to escape the onslaught. The monstrous hands overwhelm him, dragging him kicking and struggling into the pitch-black void. Riku and Marika can only watch in abject horror, helpless as their friend is consumed by the darkness. The creatures swarm their captured prey, one raising a rock ready to deliver a final brutal blow. A close-up reveals the creature's horrifying maw, twisted into a vicious, guttural snarl. As Riku and Marika flee, a single pale humanoid leaps from the darkness behind them. Riku's terror intensifies as he realizes it's not one monster, but an entire horde emerging from the tunnel. A sickening thud echoes through the cave, followed by a dark splash sealing Umi's fate. Umi's consciousness drifts in a void of soft lights as a gentle voice calls for him to wake up. The familiar voice, sounding like his brother, pleads for him to open his eyes. Umi awakens to find himself kneeling on the cave floor, his hands bound by the strange, web-like substance. His eyes snap open, taking in the horrifying new reality of his capture. He turns to see Riku is also bound, weakly calling his name as he struggles against the restraints. Nearby, a strange bowl filled with a swirling liquid sits on a rock, hinting at a dark ritual. Marika is also bound, a strange tendril wrapped loosely around her neck. The group finds themselves kneeling in a vast chamber, connected by a single living rope. Umi struggles to comprehend their new horrifying predicament. They look up to see a massive, terrifying mural covering the entire cave wall. The ancient carving depicts a chaotic, root-like entity bursting from a central maw. Umi stares in silent awe, a new layer of dread settling over him. He questions the purpose of this horrifying artwork, realizing it must be a warning. Riku's resolve finally breaks as he turns to Umi, his eyes pleading for an answer. Marika weeps, convinced this dark, forgotten cave will be their final resting place. Their despair deepens as they realize they are not alone, but are offerings to a silent, watching horde. The scene cuts to a flashback of a quiet, traditional shrine nestled in the mountains. Sunlight streams down on the stone steps leading to the serene temple grounds. Inside, a lone bald acolyte kneels as a curtain is drawn back, revealing a dark altar. An offering sits before a book that contains a stark warning about Mount Shirau's cave. The acolyte bows, acknowledging the cave as a place of dread, guarded by fierce statues. He prays before a tapestry depicting the same chaotic entity from the cave's mural, calling it the cave god. The acolyte's face is a mask of unnerving devotion as he chants praises to his dark deity. Back in the present, the horde of pale creatures stares up at the bound captives. In a chilling display of reverence, the creatures all bow their heads to the ground in unison. The captives watch in confusion, wondering what this strange, coordinated act of worship could possibly mean. A large, imposing creature steps forward, its slow, deliberate pace adding to the captives' dread. Smaller entities follow, carrying the lifeless body of the vlogger as if preparing a grim offering. She, revealed to be among the captured, watches the horrifying procession with dawning terror. The creatures perform a grotesque ritual, reassembling the vlogger's body before the horrified onlookers. His eyes widen in horrified recognition, realizing the victim is the streamer from the video. A figure with a straw-covered head, the apparent leader of the horde, observes the ceremony with satisfaction. The full terrifying scene shows the bound friends are forced to witness the ritual from their knees. On command, the leader has the vlogger's body dropped into a dark chasm as a sacrifice. Umi stares in utter disbelief, his mind shattered by the horrifying fate he just witnessed. The horde erupts in a frenzied chant, celebrating the sacrifice as the friends realize they are the next offerings. The creatures erupt in a grotesque, silent celebration, their twisted faces expressing pure glee. Umi stares back, his expression frozen in horror as he fully grasps the gravity of their situation. The flashback confirms the cave's ancient reputation as a dreaded man-eating place of worship.